This is absolutely terrifying for the NHL as the Edmonton Oilers are steamrolling their way through yet another Western Conference final en route to what looks to be their second consecutive Stanley Cup Finals appearance, and it looks like the result this year will be different with amazing performances from Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and of course, Stuart Skinner. We're going to get into that and a lot more in this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. So, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. About 72% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening around the NHL and of course with your Edmonton Oilers, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. And again, this is the place to be for all your daily NHL news. But KC, let's jump right into it. Let's waste no more time. The Edmonton Oilers won 4-1 again against the Dallas Stars, who look like a juggernaut coming into this series against the Edmonton Oilers. And Edmonton now leads the series 3-1. And man, if you look at the stats over the years of Edmonton Oilers hockey, when they've been up 3-1, they're going to win this series, right? So it looks like they're going to be going back to the Stanley Cup final against the team that they played last year in the Florida Panthers. That's going to be absolutely electric if it happens. These series are not done yet, but it's looking like it's going to be that way. But, with help from Stuart Skinner and the performance that he's put on so far in these playoffs. I mean, some of the stats that he's been able to, we'll start with Stuart Skinner first of all. We have a lot to get to, that's for sure, throughout the episode. But, since taking back the net, a 155 goals against average, he has a 941 save percentage, and he has 3 shutouts. And he's doing a lot of this against some really good teams, especially in the Dallas Stars. So what's your take on Stuart Skinner since taking the net back and in the playoffs so far this year? Because, man, he has really found his game, and not only him, but the entire Oilers team. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, this guy looks like the best goalie in hockey, no doubt about that. I mean, you're going up against a team like the Dallas Stars who they look like they were just rolling through everybody in this year's playoffs. Mikko Rantanen was putting up some insane numbers, and now the Dallas Stars have run into a wall, and that wall is Stuart Skinner. This guy, I don't know what has gotten into him, but like you said, since he's taken the crease back, he has been a different animal. He is the best goalie in hockey to date. I would say he's better than Bobrovsky right now. Obviously, was he have like a 9? It's like 80 save percentage or something crazy like that. And 985. It is ridiculous, the numbers he's putting up. And he's doing it in a big way. I mean, he's shutting down a lot of great scoring chances from maybe the best offense in this year's playoffs. I mean, you got guys like Mikko Rantanen, Jason Robertson, Mikael Granlund, a lot of great players and goal scorers on this Dallas Stars team. And then Stuart Skinner's brushing them off like it's nothing. It's actually crazy.
It is crazy because of everything that's happened over the course of the last year, right? And there was even talk last year after the Stanley Cup final, even though they came back from down 3-0, yes, they still lost, but of replacing Stuart Skinner and that the Oilers should go out and get a goalie. And personally, just from what I've seen watching the Oilers, he's been fine, honestly. Are there better goalies out there? Maybe. More clutch goalies? Maybe. But he's been fine. I don't think there's any reason why this team can't win a Stanley Cup. They were 1 goal away from doing so last year. There's no reason that they can't win a Stanley Cup with this guy. And he's putting up better numbers and better performances than he was last year. I mean, if you take a look at this guy is Mr. Game 4 at this point. And I know that's the nickname that's flying around Oilers Nation right now with Stuart Skinner, and he is Mr. Game 4. He's 6-0 in Game 4s. He has a 126 goals against average, a 955 save percentage, and 2 shutouts in Game 4s in his career. That's unbeatable. You can't beat him in Game 4s. And if you take a look at this too, in terms of career or highest career save percentage playing in the conference final, there is only 4 goaltenders all time that are above him. Bobrovsky 2 years ago, J.S. Shiger, Igor Shesterkin, and Marc-Andre Fleury. I think that's great company. And not only that, he has a 925, right, in his career in the conference final. That's absolutely insane. That is good enough goaltending to win a Stanley Cup. And I think that this year, Casey, I want your thoughts on this too. Is this goaltending good enough? Can you win a Stanley Cup with Stuart Skinner? Because personally, this year, the Stanley Cup, to me, belongs to the Edmonton Oilers. I would have said it probably earlier in the season as well. I truly believe that it does belong to the Edmonton Oilers. They seem so motivated. Connor McDavid seems almost possessed at this point that he wants that Stanley Cup. And we've seen it with Sidney Crosby in the past where he lost against the Detroit Red Wings in 2008. They came roaring back the next year against the same team and ended up winning that series. So what's your take on that? You think the goaltending is good enough? Do you think the Stanley Cup is going back to Canada?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I think the Oilers are the hottest team in hockey right now. And like last year, like you said, McDavid, Draisaitl, Skinner, all these guys that were on the team last year, they brought back a lot of the same core mixed in with some new talent. But these guys know what it's like to get right there and have it all crumble out from under your feet. And that's got to be the hardest feeling in hockey, being right at the cusp of your dream, and then it all just comes crashing down. And to do it again against maybe a rematch on the other side in the Florida Panthers, I don't think there's any way that the Oilers lose in the Stanley Cup final this year, because especially if they go up against the Panthers, they're going to be on the revenge tour. Stuart Skinner is playing some insane hockey in the crease right now, and I know Florida has a new look, bruiser team on the other side, and it'll be interesting to see how they match up against each other. But like you said, McDavid is like a man possessed right now, and there's no way anybody is taking this cup away from him. And maybe we might see a Conn Smythe in Stuart Skinner's future.
It's very possible at this point because he's been that good. But Connor McDavid, I think he's the best player in the league. I actually think he's the best leader ever since that Amazon documentary came out, because you never saw that side of him. And to know that that's what's going on in the room, this guy cares about this sport. He wants to do nothing else but win the Stanley Cup, and he's driven and he's motivated to do it. And at this point, I have to be honest, if the Oilers don't win the Stanley Cup this year, I would be surprised. I absolutely would be surprised, because him and Draisaitl will this team to win. And that's not to say that they aren't deep. They're playing great. We'll get to that in a second, because we've said that on the channel as well, that this team isn't as deep. On paper, I still don't think they are from last year, but they are playing that way. The fact of the matter is, it is going that way. And Stuart Skinner was interviewed after the game by Gene Principe as well, and he said, "I can barely hear you. The questions that you're asking, it's so loud in here. What a fun place to play. The fans are making it a big thing out in Edmonton. They sure seem to be handling the pressure of playing in a big Canadian market very well. Looks like they'll win the Stanley Cup. They're doing everything for Ben." That was a fantastic story a couple years ago. But another thing I want to get into before we wrap up is the depth, and not necessarily the depth in terms of the lines 3 and 4, but other guys stepping up, and that's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well, right? In this conference finals, 2 goals, he has 9 points, he has multi-points in all 4 games. He was great last year on the power play for this team. What's your take on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well? Because he's finally, I think, arrived as the guy that they drafted 15 years ago at this point, or 14 years ago. He's arrived as that guy, and he's been fantastic for this team.
Yeah, it's definitely worth that pick now, 10 plus years later, where everybody was calling him a bust. He's not the player that, they thought he was going to be when they drafted him, but it's all paying off now, as he has 9 goals in this conference, or 9 points in this conference finals. And it's just great to see Nuge find that gear and shift into it in such a clutch scenario like the conference finals, where every point matters. This guy goes out, shows how clutch he is, and has put the team on his back at times. And I think it's great, because I've always liked Nuge as a player. I thought he's always a solid guy for this Edmonton Oilers team. Maybe not the franchise star that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him, but everybody needs a Nuge, and I think he's done great for this Oilers team, especially in this year's playoffs. Has really stepped up in a big way.
Absolutely. He's turned into a bit of a clutch player himself, scoring the points that they need, and he's been great in this conference final. One last thing I want to bring up, and we also have an update on Zach Hyman before we wrap up here, is the depth of this team. I've said it on the channel before, and we caught a lot of flack for it. They're not as deep on paper as they were last year. I truly don't believe it, but the fact of the matter is, look at the stats that they're putting up. Of course, you have, the big 3, the big 4 leading the way. We know that they were going to be up there. Of course, Hyman chipping in as well. But look at the depth. I mean, you have Connor Brown with 8 points in the playoffs. You have Corey Perry with 9 points. Of course, he plays on the power play as well. But look at how much scoring they're getting from the bottom of the lineup. They've been absolutely fantastic. So, KC, any thoughts on this as well? I mean, they are playing very deep. Again, I don't think they're as deep on paper, at least, as last year. I do believe that they might have had a better team on paper again last year. But these 2 guys, Draisaitl and McDavid, man, while not scoring all the goals this year, they are willing this team to win, and everyone's playing better because of it.
Yeah, it's like they don't need to have 40 points in the playoffs this year, because
yes,
everybody on the team is actually contributing and doing, having that team mentality that I think they were missing last year. And I think losing as a group really brought them together, and kind of had the bottom six guys saying, okay, we really got to get together here if we want to win a cup, because that's what Florida's doing on the other side of the coin. And I think we're really seeing that this year. Like you said, guys like Corey Perry, who's 40 years old, is going out there and playing like he was like in his 30s. I mean, this guy is insane for his age. I mean, still scoring goals at 40. He's looking like a Yarmer Yager out there. And Evander Kane, all these guys like this. Connor Brown has been a guy who really stepped up. I would have never thought that Connor Brown would have 8 points in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but he has looked like a tremendous asset to this team at times. It's like when, maybe the top line or second line can't get it going in a game, the third and fourth line this year are actually generating chances and sometimes converting on those chances. And that's the difference between this year's Edmonton Oilers and last year's Edmonton Oilers, is that they can, look forward to getting a goal out of a third and fourth line. Like last year, they were just waiting. You're just waiting for McDavid or Draisaitl to touch the ice again.
Absolutely. They're playing very efficiently, right? Like, they're getting a lot of scoring from the bottom of the lineup, so the top guys don't have to do as much, and then they can chip in when need be. And then on top of it, they're wrapping up these series in pretty short order. Yes, they lost the first 2 games to the Kings, but since then, they've been wrapping up these series pretty quickly, right? So it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue that against the Dallas Stars. But speaking of wrapping up series quickly, very quickly before we wrap up, we do have an injury update on Zach Hyman, and he will not play Game 5 and is unlikely to return for the rest of the Western Conference Final, which means he could actually miss some time in the Stanley Cup Final if they end up closing out this series. So could be interesting to monitor if they do end up closing this out quickly here. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on, because Zach Hyman's been a fantastic player. I'm pretty sure he's 4th or 5th in scoring on the team right now in the playoffs. So it's going to be crazy to watch. But let us know in the comments how you feel about the Edmonton Oilers. Stuart Skinner's been unbelievable. The top guys are willing the team to win. And man, they are playing with so much length right now through the lineup. They have goal scoring from all 4 lines. It's crazy. And from their defense, who are being activated as well. It's been crazy to watch as they look like they're en route to a Stanley Cup Finals appearance for the 2nd year in a row, and maybe winning the Stanley Cup this year. It's going to be fun to watch. But let us know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything going on around the NHL.